Good evening, everyone. Tonight I wanted to give you a couple of ideas on this Chopin Waltz in C-sharp minor that I'm trying to retrieve. And a lot of it has to do with keeping it slow enough that I'm dead together on my count. And I'm not rushing ahead of it at all with my fingers. And part of that control comes from learning how to play really lightly, really softly. When you think of a keyboard, you think, well, you're playing down on the key bed. That's at the bottom of the key. But if you think of, on a grand piano, it doesn't work on an upright because there isn't that escapement point. But when you play a key down slowly on a grand piano, you feel that little bump, and then it goes the rest of the way. That bump is when the hammer starts to get shoved up at the back end of the lever, the key, into the wire. So if you can think of already being on that dance floor above the key bed with your finger pad, and you have your arms so relaxed that you feel the weight from behind your ears, the weight of your whole arm, just ready. And if you say you're frustrated with something, just that feeling of relaxation, but from the backs of your ears, then it's the whole body and right from your seat that you're using. But you want the key, you want to play on that key. So if you want to play so controlled that you're just on that key and you don't hear anything, I could go, I heard two of the notes play there. But the idea is that you can play that softly that you don't hear anything, but you're on that key bed that is above the key bed. You're on that, say, a secondary floor, a dance floor that is above the key bed, that's only about an eighth of an inch above the key bed, but it's there. And you feel the hard spot, the spot where it gets heavy, and then you get that thump. And if you can play to there, and then from that point, play the finger in an arc down like that, but release on the way up, and as you're coming down, know that the finger could be out a little bit, just like if you put your hand on the back of your head, you'll feel the shape of your hand for over the black keys. It's a good shape so that you've got the pad of the finger for a warmer tone. Then when you can come like this, see, you don't want the key to go down too fast, so but it's all this whole arm, release on the way up, and dive through to the floor, but dive slowly through to the floor, and feel that the finger is playing down to that secondary level of that dance floor. And then give the finger a little wee bit of momentum with the action down that plays down from the main arch, but then relax the finger and allow the momentum that you gave to that finger to continue down. And as you continue down with the whole arm, let it dive down through, but you've imparted a little bit of energy in the start of the finger down below that key bed, that secondary key bed, and then you relax the finger and just let the momentum that you've given that finger go the rest of the way down. You can play that quiet. So you've got a huge range to do when you get that fine tuning in your fingers. So just practice it slowly, like when you do this. 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you put in the pedal as well, you need to hold it down right through to the end of the third beat, almost the end of the third beat. So 1, don't push it down to release on the way up, and play the finger down to that point on that dance floor, and then release it and let it have momentum down. See, that first time it's medium loud, but the second time it's pianissimo. So there you need to use the elbow. when you want to transfer the weight to the next note, when you're going in all of those, you need to have a freedom in the wrist this way so that it can position the balance, transfer it to the next key, to the next note. And you can't just hold your arm stiff and do it all with your fingers. Shape the curves of the phrases with your wrist, and it'll make it a lot smoother and a lot more flowing. And then when you start the piece, don't start too fast. Try to feel there's an awful lot of detail like this. One, now you gotta get quieter. See, the tonal color, the tip has to be steel, and you have to be able to balance. But the tonal color is everything, and because one note to the next has to be different. You can't have them the same, or it's going to be boring. And so you have to have figured out in your mind how you want that phrase to shape before you go to play it. And to do it slowly, counting steady, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then the 16th notes, when they come in, like when you go, you won't rush off of this because that's like 4/16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not. One, two, three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that much detail in there. It's a fun piece to play and fun piece to practice, but try to remember playing on that dance floor that's above the key bed very lightly. In fact, play it. There's a chap that gave a video about 7 years ago about that. And he makes an exercise of 4 notes, and just over the black keys, or I think it's 4 notes, and just, if you took the E and then the black keys, that's Chopin's hand. He puts his hand on his head, back of his head, and he says, there's your right hand shape, because your second, third, and fourth fingers are longer, and they're out over those keys, and you'll be on the pads. So just try to feel that's what you're over top of when you go to play it, but try to play the notes without hearing them. Play them that softly, so don't even hear it. Just don't even go through the point of escapement. Just go to it and be on it with a movable wrist. Then he says, do that 4 times. He does it on a 4-note group. So he goes, then and he makes some sound then. So if you do that with your piece, then again, and again, but what you've done is you've increased your sensitivity in your finger pads, and then when you go to play it, just give enough momentum that you can release and relax the finger, and the momentum carries you the rest of the way down, and you've got the movable wrist diving your arm through to the floor. And then just see how quiet you can do it, and then when you do it mezzo forte, you can transfer the weight and have that freedom of movement of the wrist. I want quieter on that. 1, 2, 3. it's so much fun to just be so relaxed this way, like the whole arm just nothing, and it's a. With the pedal down, and so on. So I hope that gives you a few ideas on how to practice it and make it interesting you're practicing, not just playing the notes, because you become used to being bored with your playing when you make it with the notes all sound the same. If you can get each note individual and different intonation, make it different from the note before it. By being that close to the keys and with total control of how much momentum you want into that particular finger, then linking to the next note, you can make your playing sound so expressive, and playing it slow is beautiful, and it keeps reinforcing the steady time, so that when you want to play it like up to speed, it'll just become natural to you, because the hand will be so relaxed left and right, and the flow will be there, and each note will be unique because you're playing on that dance floor that's above the key bed, giving the momentum. Anyway, hope you gained something from that. Have a good night now. Bye-bye.